It's a Super Bowl edition of Outside the Trenches. Chiefs, 49ers. We're breaking down everything coming up next.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
Thank you to our friends at Five Farms Irish Cream Liqueur and Nick's very large jug of water that is bringing you this show today. Hanging out with Nick Leckey and Big B, Brien Hanley. Full strength as we go into Super Bowl week. Huge week here. Truthfully, didn't think the Chiefs were going to be here. If you would have asked me if we were doing a Super Bowl edition, wouldn't thought it would be the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are here. They're hot. The Niners, they're here. They are something, and we're going to talk about everything going into this game. But, Nick, how was your week, man?
It was good. It was a good week. I was out in Garden City visiting customers. Went to the game Monday. That was fun. Had a good time there. Had a really good time. That was awesome. And they got the W in basketball in Manhattan. I like that.
Interesting.
Much to producer Nick's chagrin.
Shout out producer Nick for being a good sport. Big B, how you doing?
I am good, man. Had a heck of a week. I'm ready. My wife is ready. She is ready for this game. So, and I was going to wear my Kansas City Chiefs shirt, the one Kansas City Chiefs shirt that I own. But Nick Leckey, I'm sorry, people. He refused to let me wear it. So you made me change. I apologize.
He is a man of influence. I get it. Anytime Nick tells me to do something, I want to do it right away and immediately. So I get it. He didn't ask me to wear my K-State shirt because I don't have one. And I have to be the unbiased person in here. I have to be the moderator between you guys and producer Nick. Basically, I have to be the buffer. I take that job and that responsibility very seriously as between K-State and the KU banter. But we are here to talk about the Super Bowl, and this Super Bowl week has started off. Boy, it started off hot. We got started with a story, and I've made a YouTube short about this that you'll see on the KCSN YouTube, which appreciate everybody watching in live. As we always go live Wednesday night, 9 p.m., the B-side. You guys know us. We appreciate all of our faithful people. Shout out Dan in the chat. Shout out Frank in the chat. Good evening to everybody watching us. And we appreciate you guys listening to us after the fact as well. You guys are just as important as the people watching with us live at the time. But I would kind of want to start at the beginning of the week, and we kind of go chronologically from this. It came out a story that the 49ers were upset with how soft their practice field was, and they wanted accommodations for their distaste in their field. Again, I did mention I'm making YouTube short about this. This will be out on the little more in-depth Big B. But hearing this story, Big B, I want to get your reactions from it because I don't know if I've seen anything like this before.
No, I haven't. Here's the thing. I get them being upset about it. I guess the field rating is supposed to be at 70 and theirs was at 50. I think they put down grass over AstroTurf. They were supposed to do it in December and they did it a week ago, all that kind of stuff. But my thing is, if it wasn't sound enough, there's no way they would be practicing on it. So it seems like they're already trying to build in the excuses. But if it wasn't sound and guys were falling and slipping all over the place, doing what they can do, there's no way they'd be practicing on it. Not a chance, not a chance. Now, like I said, the beef can be legitimate. I'm not saying that it isn't. But all I'm saying is if it wasn't sound to practice on, they wouldn't be doing it.
These guys are acting like it's the damn Ravens preseason game where there's seams in the AstroTurf, and it's like, come on, let's not let things be a distraction. All right, you're doing half a walkthrough anyways. This time of year, anyways. Yeah, so don't even worry about it. Just adapt. Right? It's like Ryan Holiday says, the obstacle is the way.
The bar. I do think it's very interesting though. That field that they're practicing on passed all NFL and NFLPA safety regulations. So it's not like it was an unsafe field, Big B, as you brought up. And if it was an unsafe field, they would find accommodations, right? They would make the Chiefs move their practices and everything. And that was a thing that was a topic that was brought up of like, hey, the 49ers basically went to the Chiefs and said, hey, can you move your schedule around so we can practice there with you in the Raiders facility? And the Chiefs were like, no, why would we do that? Like that, why would we change our schedule for you guys? Like that doesn't make any sense. You guys have, by the way, UNLV's facility really nice. Like I've been there. It's a nice facility. They have a really good practice facility. So it's not people acting like that. Like the Niners were snubbed by getting UNLV's facilities is absolutely outlandish. When you had last year, you had the Chiefs practicing in Arizona State, and the Eagles got the home field, the Arizona Cardinals facility. So this happens every year, right? All of a sudden it's a big deal because it's the Kansas City Chiefs that have the home team facilities. That's why it's become a big deal. And people made a big deal because the league is trying to help the Chiefs because they're not forcing them to move the schedule. I think all that's kind of overblown and outdrawn, shockingly. That's something being overblown and outdrawn in 2024. Stop me if you heard that before. But I think it's one of those things, too, where people are just trying to find, like, their tinfoil conspiracy, right? People are seeing this league's not stepping in because the 49ers don't like their field. They don't like their field. It's fine. They just don't like it. The league's not going to step in and tell the Chiefs to move their schedule. So people think the league's helping the Chiefs. It's crazy with all the conspiracies going around. Then you had media night on top of it with the Chiefs getting booed. I do think there were some Raiders fans mixed in there. If you had to guess, I don't think it was like fully Niners fans. I think there were some Raiders fans probably not showing their displeasure with the Chiefs. But media night was wild in its own regard. But as it is with every Super Bowl. But lots of storylines heading into this one, Big B.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton. The media day thing, I mean, I know a lot of people think, man, it's going to be an anti-Chiefs crowd. I'm like, hold on a second. People getting into media day and people getting into the actual game of the Super Bowl is totally different.
It's a big prices.
I was going to say, those prices to get into the Super Bowl are going to be a lot different. So I would, if I'm a Chiefs fan, don't worry about it just being anti-Chief at the game. That's not going to be the case. Other than just regular 49er fans. So that's one of the storylines. I like the matchup per se. I'm kind of, I'll be honest, I'm done talking about everything else. I just want to get to the football. You hear all this crazy stuff. I'm like, man, let's just talk football and let's get the game going. But I definitely like the matchup. There's definitely ways that the Chiefs can win this football game. Against the Ravens, I saw there being more ways that the Ravens could win. But the way that the Chiefs could win, that's literally what happened. This game, I think it's kind of even. I think the ways that both teams can win, I think it's even. It does come down to running the football. I know the Chiefs have given up a little bit, but that's what I'm really interested right there, Nick. I like the fact that I think both teams can run on each other.
Yeah, I think the main thing with the Ravens, they stopped running the ball.
Yeah,
and the 49ers, if they're good at what they do, if they don't try to overthink it, they'll pound the rock. They will absolutely pound they'll throw underneath to let catch and run with Debo, catch and run with Christian, a couple passes to Kittle. I mean, it's a simple game plan. And if they try to overthink it, you're going to get burnt. You're going to get really burnt. And for the Chiefs, man, if I'm defending the Chiefs, I'm lining up a D end over Allegretti every third down play.
Yeah.
Every third down play, I am running a defensive end over Allegretti every single time. And I'm running games over that left side because that's going to be your biggest weakness right now. And the Chiefs, it's exploitable. So we'll see if they have an answer. Like they did not have an answer versus Tampa when they were down, 4 linemen, which is damn near impossible.
Yeah.
Stuff where you move the pocket, things like that. Hopefully they learn from that, but we'll see.
There is a lot of stuff that you talked about, Big B, with the running game. I think the running game is a place where we should start with this because both teams have a vulnerability in defending the run, and both teams could really take advantage of each other on the running game, as you mentioned. It does seem like Jerick McKinnon will be activated from the IR, but it doesn't seem like he will play in this game. A very interesting move there from the Chiefs when was brought up. I was kind of shocked at all that they talked about opening his practice window and having him come out for this game because, he had core muscle surgery and he also cracked his pelvis like that. That's a kind of like a big deal. Everyone asking me about like, oh, is Jerick McKinnon going to play? I'm like, probably not because the dude cracked his pelvis 6 weeks ago. But there he is. I mean, you got Isaiah Pacheco. He's on the injury report, full participant, but he's had that toe and ankle stuff that he's been dealing with this whole kind of playoff run there. But it's it's going to be interesting to see how the Chiefs rushing attack kind of shapes out with especially the Jerick McKinnon thing. I think is a chess move by Andy Reid there to make in not Sean McDermott to make Kyle Shanahan think, okay, well, we've got to think about these 12 to 15 plays that they could run with Jerick McKinnon that we could scout with them. Listen, Andy Reid's been around the block a minute. He's going to know that, like, if he's got a guy that they're activating off of IR, they're going to have to spend some time scouting him a bit. Like, they're going to have to waste their time a little bit. And I think that's kind of what it's a little gamesmanship here, Big B.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I don't think there's any way possible that the guy plays in the football game unless he's got Mr. Miyagi over there rubbing his hands together. I'm just not sure that he's going to be able to play because that injury is a tough. I haven't had it personally, but I have good friends that have, and every one of them, it was 3 months. They were out. They just, hell, for a month and a half, they couldn't even move, really. They couldn't do anything. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think it's definitely gamesmanship on the Chiefs' part. Having said that, there's a lot of things that they can do if he were in the game, but I just don't think there's any way possible that he's going to play in this football game.
Yeah, and it is. And anytime when you travel to the game, like 90% of your game plan is in, and it's that last 10% you're tweaking this week anyway. And it's honestly the most boring game you'll ever play as a player because you get 2 weeks to prepare, and it's so late in the season. You have so much data out there. And it's like, man, you just look at the team, like how the team played, December, January window. And that's really all you're studying. You might peek at some stuff back then, but you're just like, at this point, you're watching a game film and you're seeing the first second of film, like, oh, I know this play. I've seen this play 10 times already. Like, I'm over it. Like, let's just get this damn game on. Let's do it. The biggest question, right? King Felix, K-Stater, right? He got to play versus the Chargers January 7th, and he's going to be asked to step up. And guess who? You know what I like? A defensive end with fresh legs who doesn't have much game footage. That could be a wild card. It could be an absolute wild card for sure.
Unless he's going against Trent.
Of course.
He's going against Trent Williams.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
You never know, though. It could be a wild card for Trent.
Yeah, you're right. He could underestimate him. You're right.
I doubt it, but he could.
That was one of the moves that they did today. Speaking of, Nick, I'm glad you brought up FAU because that's been a big topic of just how many bodies they have in that defensive end, specifically room, is not very many. Charles Minnie, he was placed on the IR today. Sky Moore activated off of the IR. He's a full participant on Wednesday's practice. It looks like Sky Moore is going to play, which is kind of an interesting turn of events. Didn't really expect to see that. But Felix is an interesting guy because it is a little bit unscouted in terms of what you've seen from him. Maybe not what Chiefs Kingdom would have liked to see from their first round pick in 2023, but a guy with fresh legs. Anytime you talk about Felix, anytime I've heard a conversation of people talking about Felix, like, that's a big thing. Being fresh this late in the season is going to be huge, just to have a body out there that can get after some of those offensive linemen, which an offensive line that I don't, outside of Trent Williams, obviously, because Trent Williams, I think, best tackle in the game, in my opinion. Individually, I don't think this offensive line is too great, but together they work. Like, it works together. But individually, the talent's not, the Trent Williams. They're not the Joe Thuney's, right? Like, they're not the all pros, but all together they work good. I'm curious to see what kind of games Spagnuolo does run, because I'm sure Spagnuolo is going to blitz. They're going to do all kinds of stuff to try to mess with Brock Purdy, to try to get them to abandon the run game, right? They're going to that's going to be their biggest thing, is try to get them to abandon the run game, get them behind the sticks, everything like that. I'm really going to be curious to see how they mix in Felix and to do all that. I think that's going to be interesting, kind of gamesmanship again on the other side of the ball from Steve Spagnuolo, because he has an unscouted guy now that he can throw out there.
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
No, you're good, BB.
No, I was going to just say, I think a lot of A-gap stuff, just disruption, a lot of A-gap blitzes. I know we bring them off the edge, or not the Chiefs bring them off the edge a lot of times, but I think a lot of A-gap stuff that they they can do to just disrupt, even on rundowns. A lot of A-gap run blitzes just to throw them off, even though I know they run a lot of outside zones and zone stretch plays and stuff like that. But if you can get A-gap penetration on any run play, it's going to disrupt everything. So I think linebackers and linebacker blitzing in the middle of a defense, Nick, I think that is going to be to the Chiefs' advantage if they do a lot of that.
It definitely will, but also I think the main thing is Purdy showed that he's got some wheels, and I think that was one of the things that hurt Detroit was they did not expect that. They thought that Draco Malfoy would be able to cover Purdy in the open field, and that did not work exactly how they wanted it to be. And to me, they have confidence. I think that was a confidence builder for the Chiefs, or I'm sorry, for the Niners. Was that, hey, shit, our quarterback can run. And good for the Chiefs that they put that out there in NFC Championship game also to be like, okay, he can run. He's got, wow, I did not know this. Let's borrow a little bit of that Lamar. Let's put him in that Lamar, that Josh Allen, can beat you with legs category that I was unsuspecting. And, so they might have emptied the chamber, so to speak. The Niners have.
To win that game.
To win that game.
Yep, you're exactly right. If I'm the Chiefs, I throw that caution to the wind, though. If something's going to beat you, that would be the thing that I say, you know what? If Brock Purdy's going to beat us with his legs, then damn it, let him beat us with his legs. I'm not saying that he won't. I'm absolutely not saying that he won't, because we saw it happen. I mean, we literally saw it happen. But that's the last thing that the Chiefs should, and obviously they'll prepare for it, but that's the last thing they should be worried about is Brock Purdy. Because if McCaffrey's running the football, then you're not even going to have to worry about Brock Purdy running the football.
Yeah. Looking at some more of the injuries before we take a break. Joe Thuney, only a Chiefs player that did not practice on Wednesday. He's still dealing with that pick issue. Look, it's going to be a long shot. Andy Reid said it would be a long shot for him to play. He's probably going to get that shot, that old, what is it, Toradol that they put in there?
No, it'd be like a lidocaine. Everyone gets Toradol. So that Toradol's anti-inflammatory, but lidocaine, Marcaine, a numbing, like a true numbing, true numbing. Yeah, because Toradol is the every day. Toradol is the every game day. Get that shot,
He's so Sean Barber's told me many stories about the Toradol, and the guys would just line up in the locker room just to get their shots. But I think it's going to be one of those things where I think they even said this. I can't remember. I think it was Andy Reid that said it's more of a pain thing for him. It's a pain tolerance thing or a strength tolerance thing in terms of it. And, being an offensive lineman, kind of need your pec in terms of like how that position works. Andy Reid called him a long shot. He also called McKinnon a long shot, who was a limited participant with that groin issue, which they have it listed as a groin. I think it was technically a hernia, so I guess you listed as a groin that he's coming back from, limited in practice, which is kind of impressive because Andy Reid acted like that they had no shot to play. So those are the big injuries. Kadarius Toney also off of the injury report after going on a tirade on Instagram Live. But it wasn't about the Chiefs. It was about the Giants fans that were in his comments, but not the live comments. His comment box is what he called it. He was talking about those Giants fans, not the Chiefs. So it wasn't about the Chiefs. A spin zone that I respect wholeheartedly. We can talk about that a little bit more. But first, let's take a break, and then we'll get back into a little bit more of this Chiefs and 49ers Super Bowl. We'll see you on their side.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
You're hanging out with us here on KC Sports Network, Outside the Trenches, Five Farms, Irish Cream Liqueur, our partners here at Outside the Trenches. I mentioned it before we got to break, and I want to talk about it a little bit before we dive into kind of the Chiefs offense versus the Niners defense a little bit there, because we did spend a lot of time on the defensive side of the ball for the Chiefs, their best side of the ball. Kadarius Toney, man, he's a wild card, and I that's not something we just recently learned, right? Like, that's not a new thing. But Big B, his spin zone was so ridiculous, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna tip my hat to it. Good try, like a good varsity try, but maybe I'm back in on Kadarius Toney after that just outlandish spin zone.
I mean, it was so outlandish and so just stupid. Let's just call it what it was. It's just so stupid. I'm just like, Jiminy Christmas, what are you doing, man? It's just, I get it. You're mad. I 100%. You want to play, and the Chiefs are like, no, you're not going to play. I've heard a lot of things that maybe the Chiefs were just trying to spare his feelings by saying he was hurt versus being a healthy scratch, which if they're doing that, I'm sure they would have said that to him, that, hey, man, we're going to do this. We know you're not hurt, but we're not trying to embarrass you either. But I don't know. It is what it is. And the whole, I was talking to the Giants. But why are you even talking to Giants fans? Why would that even matter? I don't know. It's beyond me, Nick.
Yeah. And also at this point in the season, you're not going to switch horses midstream.
No,
you have the squad you've been playing with that's been playing well through the playoffs. Unless there's an injury, you're not going to make a change now.
Right.
You're not going to make a change now. You don't mess with the mojo you got going on right now unless there's an injury. So it's like, hey, they might talk a big game and say, oh yeah, Kadarius is a full participant, all this stuff. But when it comes down to it, he'll probably be on the inactive thing, just like he was for the AFC Championship game. And since week 15, I think.
Yeah.
He's inactive, so yeah.
He's also wide receiver 1 when he gets the ball. I don't know if you caught that quote from Kadarius Toney. When he gets the ball, he can be a wide receiver 1.
He can be absolutely. But
he's incredibly talented. He really is.
The consistency. Yes. I mean, you don't need to be great in this league just to be consistent all the time.
Go for KC forever. Says I seen Sky Moore was activated. He was. I mentioned earlier he was a full participant on today's practice injury report. The first injury report we have gotten officially from the teams for this game. He was activated in the counter move. Charles Minihue going to the IR. Not a surprise there. Towards ACL. There was some hope that he was going to play in this game, but that was ultimately dashed like the day after when you got. He probably was riding off the AFC Championship high, right? He's like, oh, yeah, I'm playing it. In 2 weeks, I'll be fine. And then they got in there and he said, you tore that shit. You're not playing. Is probably what happened. But let's talk about the Chiefs offense a little bit because Sky Moore comes back into the mix here. Kadarius Toney's future is uncertain with this team. Now, the Chiefs didn't show a whole lot of flashes against the Ravens. It kind of seemed like Andy Reid kept the cards a little close to the chest, and the Baltimore Ravens, give the defense credit for that. Baltimore Ravens defense was nasty. They played really well in the second half of that game. Big B, what are you kind of expecting from the Chiefs offense? Because this is the one area where I think a lot of Chiefs fans feel confident rolling into this game against the Niners defense that's pretty static in coverage. I think I saw 80% of the time they're in static coverages that they don't do anything, which is kind of crazy in today's NFL. They just show you, and that's what you get. Yep. Is there any worry there with the Chiefs offense, especially coming off the second half, or are you kind of crediting more of that to the Ravens defense?
I mean, I think it was more the Ravens defense than the Chiefs offense. I'll be honest with you. I mean, the Ravens defense looked like they were shell-shocked the first quarter and a half. And basically the first half, they looked like they were shell-shocked. And then once they made an adjustment, I mean, the Chiefs couldn't move the football. I mean, they literally could not move the football. I mean, they got half their yards on the last throw of the game for the entire second half, which is crazy to think about. But having said that, I went to it earlier, and I said it earlier, the Chiefs can run on the 49ers. I know the 49ers defense is good, but the last two teams that they've played have run the ball literally down their throat. The Packers did it. The Lions did it, and the Lions kind of got the Ravens syndrome. They just stopped running the ball in the second half. The first half, I think they ran it for 22 times for like 148 yards. In the second half, they ran it 7. I'm like, well, what do you do? And you had the lead. It'd be one thing if you were behind 17 points and you stopped running the ball. You had the lead, and you only ran the ball 7 times. So, the teams are able to run the football on the 49ers, even though I know they got a good defense. I just think the Chiefs are going to be able to exploit that if they choose to.
I think what we're overlooking a lot is Charvarius Ward being that sort of locker room coach for this Niners back four. Secondary. I think that's really underplayed because, you have so much experience, 7-on-7 team drills, practice, like knowing kind of how he plays and how Mahomes plays. So there's that. I mean, you're not going to tell anything that your coaches don't already know, but you can, like, as a player, when you hear it from another player, hey man, this is what he likes to do, or here's what he's doing in practice. Here's some stuff I like to show you. You can do that. And we're also discounting Eric Armstead for in the middle, the interior, where he's like freaking 8'2" in the middle, big body. Like I said, man, we're discounting, the fact that that he's going to be a big run stuffer when you lost one of your best run blocking guys in Thuney. So there's going to be some problems for this offense. So Big B talked about A-gap blitzes, A-gap penetration. To look out for him, Eric Armstead, on the A-gap penetration and just run from a rundown perspective. So that could be a big wrench in the cog that the Chiefs will have to deal with for sure.
I think I saw something. I think this was from Summer Sports where they said that the Chiefs are the Chiefs love to do the outside zone. They love to run outside zone, and because that's just kind of the scheme that they've really always won. In Kansas City, we've been crying for them to run gap schemes because they've got so many good. Yeah. They've got so many good linemen that are good at gap scheme runs, but they just continually run outside zone. But this might be a matchup that works out well because Summer Sports ran the numbers. The 49ers struggle the most against outside zone. That is what they struggle the most against. So it's one of those things where if you look at kind of some of these holes that the Niners have in their defense, very good defense. Like it's Fred Warner's the best linebacker in the game. Like they've got Drake Greenlaw in there. Like they've got an incredible guy. Like they've got stud after stud after stud that you can list off about this 49ers defense. But where the 49ers are kind of weak, like they don't defend the flats or the screens very well. And that's something that the Chiefs do really well. They run the outside zone really well. So this is something that the Chiefs offense, they match up to the 49ers weaknesses a lot better than the 49ers offensive strengths match up to the Chiefs defensive weaknesses, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's kind of what you said. It's odd that the 49ers aren't great against the outside run.
Yeah.
With Warner and Greenlaw just being able to run 100 miles an hour sideline to sideline, you would think they would cut a lot of that stuff off. But, every now and then they could be in position, but cut back lanes here or there. And, sometimes you need a safety drop down to make a play on that's unblocked and they're not there. But having said that, you're right. I think that it's just going to be a matter of cat and mouse. I think it's just going to be, scheming what we can do. And again, I say we, I mean the Chiefs, is what they can do here or there. I think that screenplays, I just think a wide receiver is going to have to make some plays for the Chiefs. I think they're going to take away Kelsey, and they're just going to say, you're not going to beat us. They're just going to say, Kelsey, nope, you're not beating us. Somebody else is going to have to beat us. And that, I think, is Rashee Rice, if he can get free, because, again, their secondary, while good, not great, I think they're going to have to try to take advantage of a matchup somewhere down the field.
Yeah, and I like Rice to do that also. I like Rice to, he slowly proved himself in December and in the playoffs that he can be that guy if need be. And I think the best screen, too, would be that wide receiver screen, middle screen that they run with Rice, where, man, that's a good way to counter that pressure. Just don't do a screen on third down. If you run a screen on third down, you should lose your job, just straight up. If you're your offensive coordinator, it's like, this is a give up play. Like, don't do that. But if screens on first, second down, I love it. I absolutely love it. I do. It's a good mix up. It's a great change of pace too. But third down screen, it's a bullshit call.
They ran that screen with Rashee Rice. That got called back because of the Trey Smith holding. And that was one of the times I was like, okay, Rashee Rice. All right, man. We see that. That's not going to go unnoticed. I'm sure the Niners are like, hey, we've got to be pretty disciplined in this, because last time the Chiefs and Niners played, that was Christian McCaffrey's first game as a Niner. And he'd been there for maybe 45 minutes. And it's kind of crazy. Christian McCaffrey's really good, by the way. I don't know if you guys know this. He's a really good football player. He basically walked into that building with one of the most complex run schemes that you could walk into. He was there for a day and was like, yeah, I'll be fine. Putting that Stanford education to use. And that was pretty impressive from Christian McCaffrey. What they did in that game, though, as I digress here, was they kind of attacked Nick Bosa a little bit. They kind of went at him with screens. They kind of used his aggressiveness against him. I think that's what they're going to have to do again. You got to think Nick Bosa is going to be ready for that, obviously. But there was a screen pass, I think, for a touchdown that was just like they just lofted it right over Nick Bosa just because his aggressiveness took him so far upfield. And man, I really do have this weird level of confidence in this game for this Chiefs offense against this Niners defense. I think they faced a really tough task last week with the Baltimore Ravens. I think the little bit of hesitancy I do have is the mixture. I think Lynn left a comment in here. She said, you think the Chiefs can't move the football or they decided to protect the ball? Speaking about the AFC Championship game last week, sorry. I think it was a little bit of both. I think they were trying to protect it. I don't think they were trying to get too far out in front of their skis. I think they were trying to hold some stuff back so they didn't empty the clip for the 49ers. And I think that the Ravens defense just played incredibly well. Like, those guys are on scholarship too. They make plays. So I do think it's a little bit of combination of both, but I'm cautiously optimistic about the Chiefs offense, even though we didn't see any points really in the second half from them, Big B.
No, I mean, I guess we could say that they held some stuff back. I don't know why you would do that in an AFC Championship game that's 7 points. But if that's the case, okay. But at the same time, I mean, we saw the game. We watched what was going on. They could not move the ball. And whether they were calling some stuff and keeping it close to the vest, I still think they wanted to move the football, and they just couldn't do it. Yeah. So that's where the difference is. I just think that the Ravens defense just made some adjustments and just stopped what the Chiefs were trying to do. Now, did the Chiefs just line up and just say willy-nilly and all that kind of stuff? No, they didn't. But I think this will be different. Again, it's a Super Bowl. But I think if you're trying to empty the chamber, you empty the chamber as well to get to the Super Bowl. You just don't empty it in the Super Bowl if you have to.
Yeah.
I would absolutely agree with that. Like I said, it's just one of those things where there's got to be a couple things, and it's always a weird game because I think your first half you're feeling each other out,
and
then the second half is when, okay, here we go. It's almost like what they say about a marathon is like the first 20 miles are just a jog, and then the last 6 are the real race or whatever. That's kind of how it is for the Super Bowl too. We've had all week 2 weeks to prepare. You're well prepared. And then we'll see your wrinkles that you throw in there and see if you can do it. Like in your adjustments, your halftime adjustments are going to be crucial. Right. Yep. Look what happened versus Philly last year.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question, Nick, for somebody that's got Super Bowl game experience. What's a script like? Usually a script, 15, 20 plays, sometimes even 25 plays. Because you have 2 weeks and it is the Super Bowl, we're talking about empty the chamber. Does the script get even longer? The first, and for people, we're not talking about conspiracy theory scripts. We're talking about offensive script. Does the script get longer because of the 2 weeks?
No. Like I said, it's another game. So it's just going to take a little bit longer. Each TV timeout will be longer. The halftime will be a little bit longer. Right. All these things will be extra longer to allow for commercials. And no, you don't all of a sudden say, oh no. Usually it's a 10-play script, and usually it's you have those plays that you like to see. And what they do is, it depends on like the hash and everything like that. You kind of want to get a feel for where it's at. And it's like, okay, on the first third down, if it's third and medium, we like this play first, or we like this play first, and just kind of get a feel for it. So you don't want to change it up. You don't say, hey, it's a Super Bowl, let's do something different. Right. Gotcha. You don't want to do that. You don't. It's another game. You're well prepared. And we're going to stick to everything. You don't change a thing. Don't make it extra special.
Makes sense.
That'll lead into my blind nil very nicely, Nick.
What you got? Let's do it.
Well, I got to tell you about our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook first before I tell you about our blind nil. As if you're looking for a super offer for Super Bowl 58, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. New customers can bet on the big game and turn $5 into $200 instantly in bonus bets. Looking at the line right now, Chiefs +2. Chiefs are dogs, plus on the money line as well. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code KCSN. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 58 with code KCSN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. I'll just go into my blend now, since I kind of teed it up a little bit here. As I've been watching the week kind of unfold for both of these teams, I want to get your guys' thoughts, and I don't know if this is not necessarily a question per se. Maybe it's more of just like a blind nil talking point. It seems like the 49ers and the Chiefs have two different attitudes, for lack of a better word, when going about this week. Chiefs obviously have been here for the last 6 years. Like they've been here a time or two. Niners coming back after a stint, 4 years ago, 5 years ago now at this point. Whole different, a lot of the different coaches. There's a lot of the same coaches on the Chiefs side of the ball. I want to get your guys' thoughts on kind of the differentiating demeanors from these teams when it comes to it. The Chiefs, look, they're getting thrown a lot of questions at media day about, Taylor Swift and about who's going to get a ring first, the Niners or Taylor Swift. If people want the Chiefs to give sound bites, the Chiefs are refusing to do it. Meanwhile, the Niners players are going to go out there and have Tarvarius Ward saying everything's better about being in San Francisco. Do you think that the attitudes in this game will reflect the final results of this game? Maybe either one of you can start with it, but I've just kind of been gnawing on that thought. If you think the way that they're carrying themselves into this week will affect the final score.
I don't know. I think, well, first of all, experience matters. So that's one thing. I mean, that absolutely matters. Now, there's going to be some guys on the 49ers that have been in a Super Bowl before. Yeah. But I don't know. I think the Chiefs are taking I think you're right, Tucker. They're taking a more business-like approach to everything. And as much as people are trying to rattle them, they're kind of used to the hoopla. Now, granted, it's not the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl's at a whole nother level, but they've been getting these questions about Taylor Swift all year. Yeah. And stuff like that outside the game. And so it matters. So, and they're used to handling those kinds of questions. So I think the Chiefs mindset may have a little bit, I don't know, but you still got to play football. Yeah. That's my whole thing. You still got to play football, regardless of what the questions are, or even what your mindset is. You still got to go make it happen.
Yeah. I think attitude does reflect, how you're going to play, and I think, having to eliminate the distractions, focus on the task at hand, business trip, all that stuff. And I think honestly, the pressure's on Kansas City. Kansas City has all the pressure in the world on them. I just saw something on Good Morning Football. They're like, if Mahomes wins, will he be immortal? It's like, come on, man. It's like they're trying to hype it up to next level. And if you're San Francisco, you're like, man, screw that. Like, you're going to be motivated. Like, you're going to be absolutely motivated. And I think sometimes, to counter Big B's point too, I mean, as the Saints, we played the Indianapolis Colts, who won in 2006, and now it's 2009. So 3 years later, and they're staying at the same hotel. They're staying at the same place. They're going through the same motions where they've won it before. So it's like, you want to be hungry. And like every good boxer says, it's easy to get to the top, but it's tough to stay up there. And I think that's what the Chiefs are going through. But like I said before, and I'll say it 1,000 times, the biggest X factor is the fact that Mahomes is not in the MVP conversation, and that's got to burn him bad.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting how both teams are kind of going about the two very different approaches. Obviously, Shanahan's been here. This is his third Super Bowl, second as a head coach. He was obviously the offensive coordinator for the Falcons in the famous 28-3 game. And there was an interview with Peter King where he said that losing that Super Bowl to the Chiefs was more hurtful, left more scars than losing the 28-3 game. Now, he wasn't on the defensive side of the ball, and basically probably that does not hurt as much. But the way that they lost that game against the Chiefs the first time around, I can see how that seems to leave some scars. He also had a clip that came out where people thought he was drunk on the opening clip. I don't know. I don't care if he's drunk or not, right? But it just seems like they're letting their guys be a little bit loose, I think, for the fear of them being too uptight. And to let the guys be loose in Vegas is interesting. For that to be the place to say be yourself is an interesting spot to do it. But I do think that there's a concerted effort by the 49ers not to be so uptight, where the Chiefs are taking a clear business, like no nonsense type approach. Even though they practice outside, the day that all that field stuff came out, they practiced outside in the rain, full pads.
Yeah.
Just to kind of be like, oh yeah, you want to complain about how soft your field is? We're going to go practice full pads.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's Nick's right. The business-like approach is always the best approach. Your attitude definitely reflects. Nick's right again. It definitely reflects on how you're going to play. Having said that, I think the 49ers probably know their team. Shanahan knows his team, and maybe that's the way that they play best if they're loosey-goosey.
For sure.
So, and if it is, good for them. I'm a coach's son, and I just know that, the business-like approach has always been the approach that I've taken. It's just, you play. This is what we're doing. You can be loosey-goosey after the game, but right now we're here to win a game. We're here to win a football game.
No other thoughts, Nick?
Turn it to 11 after the game, no matter what, win or lose.
Turn it to 11? What do we got?
Spinal tap? I don't know. I'm just saying, where it's like, all the talk is like win or lose. We're having a party at the hotel. Yeah. It's going to be fun. It's a long season, and that really takes the pressure off too.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Seems like it. All right, who wants to go next?
I
will. Oh, go ahead, Nick. You sure?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, I was just going to say mine's pretty simple. I'm sure in previous years you probably have covered this, but I'm going to say it anyway, or ask anyway, is favorite Super Bowl commercial. What is the favorite Super Bowl commercial? Now, mine's easy, and I was obviously biased. I mean, I'm a Steelers fan, and I can actually remember. I'm that old that I can remember 1980 Mean Joe Green. The hey kid throws.
How old are you? How old are you?
I'm 100 years old, Nick. I mean,
what year were you born? What year were you born?
75.
You were 5. Okay, I'll give you that.
I remember. I was old enough to remember. Again, like I said, I'm a coach's son, so football's been ingrained in me since I was 2 years old. So it's just, I can remember him, that whole commercial, him limping down there and throwing the jersey to the hey kid guy. And, fun fact, Joe Green also lives in Flower Mound. Nick.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
right down the street. Right down the street. I love that.
So, but yeah, that's my favorite. I love them all. I mean, honorable mention, I don't know if Tucker, you don't remember, but in 1995, the Hay Frog, the old Bud Light Frogs commercial, if you get a chance to YouTube that is hilarious. It is gold, absolute gold. So, but there's a ton of them, but those are my favorites.
I picked up a 1995 Budweiser Frog shirt from the thrift store, actually.
There you go. See?
I sold it. I sold that sucker for $50. So original print, dead stock. I mean, golly, eBay was all over that sucker. So I know what you're talking about.
It's hilarious. It is a great commercial. Great commercial.
Tucker, do you have one, or you want me to go?
No, I want you to go.
I would have to say, just for longevity and I just love, like, it's a beer commercial. But what?
Oh my God! Don't get me. We did that
right because it's addictive.
Spring break of 2000.
2000, yeah, 2000.
Yes, in case they. Oh my goodness!
That was like,
it was awesome.
And
it seemed, Nick, it seemed like it went on for like 3 months, 4 months. It just kept going on and on and on. Oh,
it was great. It was great, and that was, to me, I was like, okay, that was a nice one. That was really good. Yeah. Impactful though was the if you're talking about bang for your buck, was last year, because when I was at a Super Bowl party, people started freaking out when they did the the guide. Is it like Fubo or whatever, where they did the fake someone was guide, and like there was yelling,
remote,
there was wailing and gnashing of teeth, like you were not believe, like, what are you freaking doing? And stop playing with the remote. What kid has it? It was hilarious, and apparently that was countrywide or worldwide panic for that one.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Doritos always has some bangers.
They
Doritos there for a little bit had the bangers. I think they had the time machine one that I thought was always pretty funny. They didn't miss there for a little bit. Now they turned the Luxor into a Dorito. I don't know if you guys saw that picture going around Twitter.
That's amazing.
They turned the Luxor into a Dorito, which I heard somebody describe staying in the Luxor as sleeping into a lit cigarette, and I think that's about right.
I stayed there once. That was one of the worst mistakes of my entire life.
Man.
I thought it'd be cool to stay in a pyramid. Yeah. Turns out you lose square footage. You walk over towards the window and it's like 3 feet high.
Oh, that's
and
right.
I'm like, what the hell is going on here, man? This is terrible.
Never even thought about that. I usually just stay. I usually stay at like Caesars or North, up to not Bellagio quite, but like the Venetian. So and the best there's like Treasure Island and the Mirage. That's my favorite bang for your buck because it's not cheap. It's not expensive, and you're right in the heart of the strip. Because to me, the heart of the strip is Caesars. Like, that's the heart. That's the heart of the strip. That's
like that Hell's Kitchen right there.
Yeah, that's right. There's a Hell's Kitchen there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only stayed in the Luxor the 2 times I've been to Vegas, but it was like not inside the pyramid. It was like the towers that they have off of the side of it. So it was a little bit nicer. So that's when I was like, how come everybody hates the Luxor? I stayed in like the towers of it, which I didn't get that same lit cigarette vibe as sitting in staying in the pyramid, because that's where the East West Shrine Bowl was before they moved down to Frisco. Look, I'm gonna say it. I think I like it in Frisco a whole lot better than I liked it in.
Of course you do.
Than Vegas, because that was overstimulating.
We'll treat you right here in Frisco. We will treat you right. It's amazing though, Nick. He came all the way to Frisco. Do you think he called?
Man,
no,
he said
no calls, no texts, no nothing.
I'm a busy man.
You ain't that busy. You ain't that busy, Tucker.
I was 2 minutes away from him. I was like a minute and a half away from him, and he didn't even just nothing.
Malarkey.
Unbelievable.
Had a couple zeros.
Oh.
Nick, why don't you take us home?
What was the question?
No, it was just about Blind.
My Blind Hill. Biggest disappointment this season for you guys. What was like the biggest, whether it was like a player, a topic, a team, what was the biggest disappointment that you were like, what the hell is wrong with you? And honestly, I'd have to say Philly.
That's where my brain went first. Yeah.
Not me. I like that. I do like Philly, but I'm going to go with everybody's saving grace, everybody's hero, Justin Herbert. I am not getting off of this. Everybody gives him a pass. I'm never giving him a pass. I'm just never going to do it, because if it was Patrick Mahomes, then they wouldn't be giving him a pass. So no, I'm not doing it. Disappointment. I don't care that you got hurt. I'm sorry. I don't want anybody to get hurt, but look, man, at some point, don't you have to win? At some point, you got to win. You know, they keep talking about how talented they are and how talented he is. Well, go win. So to me, it's Justin Herbert and those Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, they're putting together basically Michigan this year. I mean, they got Jesse Minter coming in as their DC. Yeah. They got John Harbaugh. Sorry, Herbert. Did they name an offensive coordinator?
I don't know.
Jim Harbaugh. Sorry, I said John
Harbaugh. Sure. Michigan Harbaugh.
Yeah, the Michigan Harbaugh. They look the exact same. Everyone in that family looks the exact same. Like every male in that family.
They were cloned. They were 100% cloned. Absolutely.
Like the dad just looks like a wrinklier version than Jim and John. Like it just all it is.
They're gonna bring in Greg Roman.
Greg Roman?
Yeah.
I was with him in St. Louis, I think.
Yeah, he was out of football.
No, for that. Never mind. No, I wasn't. Never mind. I'm thinking different Roman.
Greg Roman.
No.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
We don't want Herbert to win. You're right.
Good thing I agree.
He won't win because they're going to draft McCarthy,
They're gonna draft JJ, right? They're gonna trade it for JJ.
Yeah,
and because he's just gonna make Michigan from this last year, because that whole team is graduating because they were like the oldest team ever to play college football.
Yeah.
So he's just gonna draft that whole team again, and then he can win a Super Bowl with them. And the logic is flawless.
Yeah, that's just, man,
it's wild.
For me, the biggest disappointment, I was gonna say like Dak and the Cowboys, but like they do that every year, so is it really a disappointment? No, it's not. And then I was thinking about maybe the Bengals were a little bit of a disappointment, but Joe Burrow deal with injuries. I don't think they're a big disappointment. He was hurt.
He's always hurt.
He was hurt at the beginning of the year, then hurt something else. That actually might not have been on the injury report. Did we ever get clarification if
it wasn't? They lied. They flat out lied. I mean,
he walked in with a wrist brace on, and nobody said shit.
I don't know. Yeah. Like I said, I've been around a lot of football. Nick, you've been around a lot of football. You ever seen a quarterback throw a football and tear a ligament in his hand? I've never seen that happen ever.
That's a freak. That's a freak injury. I know. I was a starter in 2008, and I got hurt. I hurt my ankle in warmups, or broke my foot in warmups, and they got like in a lot of trouble. The Rams did, because that wasn't on the injury list as questionable. But like that was before I went to the game, so you never know if it could have happened during the game, because Burrow played and then got hurt, right?
Yeah.
So different story.
But he walked in, he had like a soft cast on.
Yeah,
on
that
his
was
wrist. I'm like, come on now.
Sus, as the kids say. 100% sus.
Kids do say that.
Cap.
I saw somebody.
Cap.
I'm trying to see if that was the chat or
they were capping. They were capping.
They were capping.
The training staff was capping. Trying to put it on the sly, do it on the down low.
See, that's Tucker.
Enough.
That's Tucker's vocab.
Enough. All right, that's enough. Let's wrap that one up. So producer Nick says the Jaguars. I think that's a good one. The Jaguars are supposed to run away with that division, and they didn't. And
I think they got a lot of credit for playing out over their skis the year before, and everybody thought they were going to be good when they kind of backed into the playoffs the year before, and they weren't able to do that this year.
What about the Seahawks? Geno Smith, did we all think he was going to fall back down to earth?
Yes.
Nobody predicted them to win, especially in the division with the Rams and the Niners.
That's true.
No shot.
Actually, I think I said they were going to win the division at the beginning of the year.
Well,
but
I said Denver was going to win.
I was on the sauce.
You did say Denver was going to win.
I did say Denver was going to win.
You did, didn't you?
So I can't tell if that's my biggest disappointment is Denver doing so poorly. But then they kind of rallied at the end there too.
They did. They made it interesting.
Right. It made it interesting. They really did. They almost qualified for playoffs. They almost did.
That game against the Texans, if they'd have won that, I think they'd have made it.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that was the game. You're down at the 4-yard line, and you throw a pick and you lose. I think that was the game. Triple coverage.
Just a classic Russell Wilson play. I mean, it was just like textbook Russell Wilson.
No pressure. I'm just going to gun it in here. Hopefully it makes – trying to throw it through a car wash without getting wet, and that thing got drenched.
What is that? I've never heard that term. That term is awesome. Trying to throw it through a car wash.
I usually use that for something else, but this is
okay. Oh, right. Okay, there we go. That really
family show.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think for me, I want to say Philly, but losing your top wide receiver in the playoffs and then losing your second best wide receiver, you kind of gut your squad at that point.
I got it.
It's like it's just one of those things where it's just because to me, I thought Philly was going to be the one. I thought it'd be that Philly San Francisco matchup again.
Jalen Hurts was hurt for at least half the season.
They never sat him either. Like they never let him get healthy.
They never let him get healthy. They never just said, you know what, let's take a couple weeks. Even sit the week before the bye week. You know, so at least you get 2 weeks. You know, they never did it, and he never got right because he never ran the ball.
Yeah,
that was the key to their success the year before, and they just never ran the football with him, and it was just ugly.
And they stifled them too, honestly, with that schedule, that gauntlet where they went, Miami, and then they went Washington, then is it Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Cowboys, and then go play at Seattle.
Yep.
Shoot, that's honestly one of the most difficult 8-game stretch or 6-game stretches you'll ever see
at the end of the season too.
end of the season, right?
And then they were just beat up because then they couldn't beat the Giants.
Well, they had because they made it out of that. They made it out of that, and then go on to lose to Arizona.
Yep,
at home
Bad
on New Year's
game.
Eve.
Bad
game. And then they lost January 7th, right, to the Giants in New York, and so and then that was tough.
I thought of the Jets. The Jets had a lot of hype coming into this season. Aaron Rodgers played 4 plays. Did they get a first down?
I don't think Aaron got a first down.
It was 3 plays. Yeah.
They went 3 and out.
And it was on the third play. Remember they brought in, who'd they bring in at tackle? Dwayne Brown. Remember, because they didn't trust Mekhi Becton. They bring in Dwayne Brown. He didn't even touch the guy on an inside move, made him scramble, tore his Achilles.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty disappointing start to their season. And that it's pretty disappointing for the Jets. They still won that game. Like that's what the Bills, man.
Josh Allen.
Maybe are the Bills? No, the Bills backed their way up into the playoffs, and they had a good run.
I don't know if they backed in though, because they had to go to Miami the last game of the year and win the division, and they did it.
Miami wasn't that. Miami was.
I'm not saying Miami was great. No, I'm not. That
O line was decimated.
I mean, you talk about somebody who choked. Miami was 8-3.
Ooh.
I mean, they were 8-3, and they were 3 games up in the division with 5 to go, and lost. So,
remember, that's why we Florida Stated them. Or we didn't Florida State. That's right. Knew they would Florida State themselves.
Florida State themselves. That's right. The committee, we kept kicking them out, or we kept them. Remember, they were at 5 for a long time.
We Florida Stated the Cowboys early. Early. We're like, get this team out of here.
Week 7. Right?
No shot. I'm going to go back to
September.
Everyone forgot keep September. That committee thing going, man. That was good. That was good stuff.
We'll restart it as soon as the Super Bowl gets done.
Absolutely. I love the week 0 Florida State. Who gets
way too early playoff committee ranking.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Well, hang on a second.
Cowboys at 4.
Cowboys got to start at 2.
Start at 1. Start at 1. Dak is motivated. He's got a chip on his shoulder, like I got a rip in my shirt.
I'm looking at our final ranking.
Oh, look at the notes. He's got the notes.
Yes.
So now remember, if you're watching this at home for the first time, we did the who gets Florida Stated starting week 10 or week 11.
Yeah.
Or it was after Florida State. It was after Florida State got Florida State in December.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And we started it. And so what we do, guys, is we do, top 4 and then 5 and 6. And we'd always Florida State someone every week. We'd leave out a deserving team because of based off of a projection, right? Based off of a qualifier that we think that they, didn't match or matched. That was fun.
Final rankings. So we just rated them like the
week 18. Committee. Was it week 8? No, or was it week 17?
This probably. I think this was probably week 18. This was probably. No, this was 17 because we didn't do it after the playoffs were already set.
Because once the playoffs, it's playoffs.
Yeah. So we did it. We did it the week before the playoffs were set. At number 6, we had the Eagles down 2 spots.
I love it.
The Lions. Remember, we kept the Lions at 5 the whole time.
That's who we kept that at 5. We kept them at 5 the whole time.
Lions, we kept them at 5 the whole time. Great on our part. Browns up 2 spots to number 4 in the final committee playoff.
That was on me. That was on me.
That was on you.
I drove that convo because I was riding the Flacco hype train, but I didn't realize he was a secret plant to eliminate the one team that could eliminate the Ravens. Man, he.
Cowboys at 3. Previously not ranked. Coming into the rankings. After being not ranked, we put them at number 3. They must have had a really good week. What would that be? Week 17. They must have had a really good week.
But Nick was driving, keeping the Cowboys out too, though.
So that means Big B. That means you and I were probably doing some legwork.
Yeah, because I was on the Cowboy. I was all over the Cowboy. I was wanting to put them at 2 at one point.
Yeah, you guys, what's it called? I was gonna say something, but you guys definitely railroaded me on that one. You guys were working behind the scenes to get that. You guys were hype on that for some reason. Oh, no, never mind. We did that because I'm looking because the Cowboys beat the Lions, but they shouldn't have.
Oh, correct. That's right. They definitely should not have won that game.
No.
So we had to put him in. We did the head-to-head, remember?
Yes,
That's
I do
why they
remember
beat the
that now.
Lions. That's why they beat the Lions.
Man, we should have done head-to-head. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
We really wanted to be fun. We should have just said head-to-head doesn't matter. I know you played this week and won, but it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
We're gonna Florida State you.
Number 2 was the Niners up 1 spot from 3, and then number 1 was the Ravens, who we had the week prior, number 1. Look, I mean, to be fair, the Ravens were probably the best team heading into the playoffs, and they probably were the best team.
Easiest schedule, full health.
I'll throw that out there for sure.
Yeah.
Easiest schedule.
Yeah.
Even playing in that division, because that division was clearly head and shoulders the best division in football. I mean, everybody had a winning record. 3 teams made the playoffs. But if you go outside of the division, like they didn't play the Chiefs, you know, and I know they played the 49ers. I just think they had an easier schedule.
Oh, yeah. And we totally left the Chiefs off, too.
We did. We left the Chiefs
We sure did, didn't we?
Look, they finished their last 7 games, they were 3-4. So, I mean,
weren't great.
We had reasons. We had reasons. How did this team flip a switch in the post? Like, how? What, does the preseason?
You want to know why?
Does the regular season even matter?
No. Mahomes honestly started scrambling. That's it. Like, seriously, like that's the only thing. He wasn't. That's it. Like, he just started scrambling. Remember, he was just sitting back there. He was sitting back there in the pocket and just chilling, and and then drops and the holding penalties and the different flags, not flags too. So they overcame a lot of adversity and held together.
They did.
Battle
Plus
tested.
they had Mahomes. But, I mean, when you got Mahomes,
that helps.
That just makes a difference, man. It just does. People underestimate, and I'll say it again, they underestimate how good he is. They give all this praise, and they say this, but when it comes down to just football, let's just talk football and not have to make him the greatest quarterback on the face of the earth that's ever lived. Just talk football. The guy's the best player. He just is. To me, it's that simple. I don't know. He's better than everybody.
Yeah, he's just good. Just a good player, and they have good chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to bet against him, too, and he's an underdog, man. I mean,
double underdog. I'm telling you.
Oh,
MVP
an underdog.
thing. And he's been living in that film room. Guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
He has.
Before we go, I don't want a score prediction because I think score predictions are dumb. I just want to know who you think is going to win. Big B, who do you think is going to win this game?
I think the Chiefs. Actually, I take that back. I've picked against the Chiefs 3 times, or twice, the last 2 weeks, and they've won. My wife made it a point for me to pick against the Chiefs again, even though I'm actually rooting for the Chiefs to win. Look, I've been married 20 years. My wife's a diehard Chiefs fan. I'm no dummy. So I know who I want to win the game, but I'm going to say that the 49ers are going to win, but I am wholeheartedly rooting for the Chiefs to win.
I respect it. I do. I gotta stick to your guns. Gotta stick to the mojo.
Oh.
She says I'm the good luck charm, so
yeah,
picking against them.
I felt very bad about every single game the Chiefs have played this postseason, and they've won them. So I even thought they might lose to the Dolphins, and here we are. Nick, who do you think's gonna
win? Listen, if 49ers can do this, get the ball out of Brock Purdy's hands. If you, like I said, if you throw it underneath to Debo, let him catch and run, dude, nobody wants to tackle that big cat, man. That dude is a monster.
Yeah.
Throw it to Christian McCaffrey in the slot. Buffalo had the cool play, the Arena Football League play, where that running back going on a wheel route and catching the ball on the fly, going north and south. That's a deadly play. That is a deadly. And Brock Purdy showed he can win with his legs, and the Chiefs are banged up at O-line. And if San Francisco can just hand the ball off, throw it underneath, and if they can stick to that long game and count the possessions each quarter, I think San Francisco's got a good shot at winning this. I really do. And it's like I think that the pressure is on Kansas City and 49ers. Remember 2019, right? How COVID could have been worse if the parade would have been in San Francisco, right? So
true.
So yeah. So it's 4 years later or 5 years. I don't know what the hell it is later now. And 5 years later, and it's a different world, different landscape. Everyone hates the Chiefs now. Everyone hates Taylor Swift for ungodly reasons, like just stupid. but they're the team to beat, man. They got the target on their back.
Yeah.
Nick, I'm going to disagree with you about
Go for it. That's fine.
I think more pressure's on the San Francisco 49ers than it is on the Chiefs.
Why is that?
I think that Kyle Shanahan knows what's at stake for this game, right? Brock Purdy knows all of those guys know what's at stake. They've lost to this team before, so they feel the need to get back at this team. Chiefs, I feel like, have been operating at a very even keel level. I think that you feel a very even keel thing. I don't think that they feel like there's much pressure here. They're the underdog in this game, and they're acting like they're the underdog in this game. I think that they are very comfortable in the spot that they're in. They like to operate in the spot that they're in, and I don't think they have very much pressure on this. They've been here before, 4 out of the last 6 years. That's insane to think about. That is absolutely bonkers that every year Patrick Mahomes has been a starting quarterback. Well, he's been a starting quarterback for 6 years. He's been to the Super Bowl 4 times. He's lost the AFC Championship game twice. Both times were in overtime. I'm pretty sure the both times he's lost in the AFC Championship game. So it's quite astounding what he's been able to do. I know a lot of people are going to talk about the legacy talk when it comes to winning 3 Super Bowls and 4 appearances. That's obviously something to a discussion for another time. But I think that the Chiefs are in a spot right now where they seem like they are more locked in than I think I've ever seen this team. I feel very confident in this game. I feel very confident in the Chiefs. So I think the Chiefs are winning. I really do. I really think the Chiefs are going to win it, and I'd love to see a huge offensive performance, another offensive MVP, Super Bowl MVP for Patrick Mahomes, just to build to the legacy, add to the legacy. 3 in 6 years. That's nuts. That's crazy.
Yeah. Then they'd have to say the Chiefs were a dynasty at that point. Have to.
Already are, though. Already are.
I agree. I think they already are. But to Big B's point, I think you then will have to for sure 100%.
Then you start talking, are they the best?
We're talking Mr. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Super Bowl Steelers trophy. Is that updated too? The banner?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean,
that's
everybody.
A real
you
dynasty.
can't be that. I mean, I mean, there's nobody that's going to be that. I get it, but which is why I'm rooting for the Chiefs to win, because that'll keep the 49ers from getting that.
There's the real motivation.
Always an angle.
There it is.
An angle.
There it is. There it is. That's the real. It's not keeping the missus happy.
Well, I think that's going to do it for our supersized edition of Outside the Trenches leading up to the Super Bowl. We might be back next week. If Chiefs win, I think we'll be back next week. We'll see if the Chiefs. We'll survey. If the Chiefs lose, we'll be.
We're doing one next week. We got to.
Okay.
We're not going to be those people who during a loss don't go show up for the media.
Fine.
Next week will be the last one, regardless of the outcome.
There you
Nick
go.
said it. Nick said it. Look, I told you guys at the top of the show, Nick's a very persuasive person. He tells you to do something, you're going to do it. We're going to do a show. Now I've made it full circle, so that means we can end the show. We appreciate you guys listening to us live at the time. If you're listening to us after the fact, we also appreciate you very much as well. So make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. Let us know who you think is going to win this game and why you think they're going to win this game. Also, leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. So for Nick Leckey and Big B, Brien Hanley, I'm Tucker Frank. We'll be back with you after the Super Bowl to talk about what happened. We'll see you then.